It didn't let me have super fuck high resolution. Okay, well, in the future I'll just have to do Reddit a specific way. Greetings, I am Necroscourge, and you have fallen into the depths of gaming. Yeah,
Yes. Hello.
depths. Yeah.
I am Voice. I will be your Russian accent for today. Yeah, we still need to work on the intro.
Well, it's okay. We'll get to the point where we just kind of bang our heads against it, and it happens.
Yeah.
Much like anything else. Yes. We have all sorts of gaming news for you unfortunate souls today.
Da.
Yes.
All of them very good.
All of them of good quality or greater.
Da. Very trending on social media.
Indeed. Friday the 13th, the game, has an release date now.
Yes, and it will not be releasing on Friday the 13th, which is the news.
Yeah, that's the news. Is it's not on Friday the 13th, and and there are protests in Berkeley and New York right now, and they're just chanting. They're going, "Hey, hey, ho, ho! Friday the 13th should be released on Friday the 13th." It's a working title. It's a work in progress, but
Yeah.
their hearts are in the right place.
Very much so.
And Friday the 13th, the game is. It's a bigger, better version of Dead by Daylight. It really is. Because the map's bigger, the monster's more fun to control.
So, which one is the game where you put people on the meat hooks?
Dead by Daylight.
Ah, that's Dead by Daylight. Okay.
That one's Dead by
And which one
Daylight.
of the game is where you put people on the meat hook that you're holding in your hand?
That feels like a trick question.
So basically, what do we have here? What we have asymmetric multiplayer third-person game
Yes.
where you can play either one of the of 7 sex crazy teenagers
Oh,
that
yeah.
are being hunted down by a monster that happens in the woods.
Oh, yeah, you're a teen counselor.
Oh yeah, because
Because, of course.
those are matter, right?
Yeah.
What else?
So you're running around this big old map. You're trying to go through buildings and get supplies so that you can escape, call the cops, do whatever you can to get the hell out of Camp Crystal Lake. However, Jason has several abilities that will make this extremely difficult. For instance, if you alert him, then it's going to be all the more easier for him to just open up his map and teleport basically where you are. For instance, what tends to happen in the playthroughs that I watched is everyone will get in the car and they'll look up and Jason's walking down the street towards them.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
So, and the fact that Jason's able to show up wherever he wants like that gives him a lot of power that you don't have in Dead by Daylight. Because in Dead by Daylight, you have a set speed, and unless you're playing a specific character, you don't have very many abilities that let you actually move around or sneak up on people.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jason has the ability to appear wherever he needs to appear, and he can burst through doors. He can do all of the regular giant person stuff.
Yes, basically what they're doing here is they're trying to give the players who are playing the teenagers the feeling of the monster breathing down their necks.
Yeah, they because Dead by Daylight was heavily focused on trying to be fair. And in the end, it just meant that playing a killer was just super frustrating because you have to babysit the person as they die on the hook. However, everyone calls you names and insults you if you do that. So it's kind of, why would I want to play this game if everyone wants you to play not the way it works? So here they went, screw that. Jason kills people. He catches you, you have like a moment to get away, and you better hope you have like a knife or something to stab into him so you can get away. Otherwise, he's just going to murk you.
That actually makes sense. But my question is, what new this game brings to the table? Do they expand on the lore? Do they...
No, it's more or less a recreation of Camp Crystal Lake and how they think that it would go if players got it's like replaying the first movie without any of the actual first movie, just the characters.
Wasn't the murderer in the first movie the brother of Jason? No, not Jason. Freddie Mercury? No. What was his name?
What?
What was the name of the monster from the Friday the 13th?
Jason Voorhees.
Ah, Jason. There we go. Wasn't his mother the first monster?
No, I mean she I don't
I
think
think
she
was a murderer. Yeah.
Here, oh, not the game. I need to tell me about the fucking movie. Well, no, it lists the character named Mrs. Voorhees at the very top, so it must. So I think you're right. All right, well, this is a gaming news website or a podcast, not a movie review podcast. So.
Yeah, but then again, for our nerd cred, we should know such things.
We should probably know about the games the lore of the games we're talking about. Yeah. So moving along. Warhammer 40K is getting its next edition.
Ooh, next edition. Wait, why? Wasn't there a new edition like 2 years ago?
Well, yeah, but profit motive. We can make everyone buy new codexes again.
Oh, right. We need to push more little plastic cast figures.
Here's the thing: is in the FAQ, which I'm gonna pull up in a moment. They said that they're keeping all the figures and everything, all the armies, and they're just going forward. They're not cutting back. So they're not Age of Sigmaring this. And for those that
of course they're not.
Right, of course they're not. And for those of you that don't know, Age of Sigmar is the newest incarnation of the Warhammer Fantasy franchise. because for the longest time there was Warhammer 40k and there was Warhammer Fantasy, and Fantasy is go look up Total War Warhammer. That's what Warhammer Fantasy is before Age of Sigmar. And Age of Sigmar is kind of an apocalypse happened, like Chaos 1, apocalypse happened, world was reformed, and now all of these like neo-fantasy races now are fighting, and the humans are space marines. They're called the Stormcast Eternal, but they look like space marines. They're
yeah.
Like,
if it looks like a space marine, smells like a space marine,
let's put it
tastes
this
like
way:
a space marine, it's probably a space marine.
it looks like a space marine. It acts in the game like a space marine, including with weapons that look like space marine weapons. A fucking bolt crossbow that rapidly shoots magical bolts. Like, come on.
Oh, is a magical crossbow then called the bolter?
No,
Because it shoots bolts?
Be imaginative. It's like a storm bolt crossbow or something. Now I want to look that shit up because it's true. It has a ridiculous name. Stormcast product info. No, they don't do that anymore. Okay. They used to actually tell you what the fuck the miniatures did on the website. Now they don't. Oh wait, yeah they do. I just have to get good, bro.
Get good.
Boltstorm crossbow. I'm sorry. How dare I not remember the name? I'm sorry. We're in a serious fantasy world here. The weapons they can choose from are the Skybolt bow, which is just a really nice bow, respectable. The Boltstorm crossbow, which, to be fair, does not have the range of a bolter. However, it does get 2 attacks, and it's got effectively the same strength. And then, as a heavy weapon, there's the Shockbolt bow, which is the better bow, and then there's the Thunderbolt crossbow, which is essentially a heavy bolter. It says when a model attacks the target struck by a mighty blast of celestial energy, pick an enemy, roll a dice, subtract 1 from the roll. So it's just awesome. Got it. I'm sorry, we were just quickly reminiscing about how Games Workshop fucked up fantasy. Moving on.
Well, they're not fucking it up, because what they're doing is they're basically making money on it.
Oh yeah, from a shareholder's
making
perspective,
everyone
they're
hate
doing
it.
great.
Well, that's the big problem with the corporations. They are incredibly short-sighted.
Well, it's called the bottom line.
Well, it's not just the bottom line, because you want to have as much profit as possible, right? You should plan for the long term. Then you have to build up the momentum of your company.
That's a part of company culture that's gradually becoming more and more prominent. There are several companies that I've smoked the names away of, but there are shoe and boot companies that are at the forefront of forging a good company culture and to form a good here I'm moving on to the FAQ should it desire to load. I'm sorry, I forgot that this thing is temperamental.
Basically, what I see in corporations these days is that they're looking for the most amount of profit that they can make in the shortest amount of time. They are not looking ahead at all. If they can get profit by butchering their IPs in the next 5 to 6 months, they're going to prefer to do that than to make more money over 2 years. So that's basically what I'm seeing. They're not building their IPs, they are destroying it for immediate profit.
Indeed.
That's a good strategy if you plan off to basically, if you see that there is no long-term solution and what you're seeing is that the company is going to crash and burn, so you're going to basically cash in all that you can immediately.
Well, indeed, and they tried that.
That works. But
however, their community fought back against them so hard that they rebranded themselves entirely. They're bringing back specialist games. They're bringing this back. They're doing this. They're promising left and right. Like, I pulled up the FAQ, unfortunately not on the stream. It was claiming that I was a poopy head for even dare ask it to do this. It says, yes, my army is still valid. It says, yes, every merchant we sell today is usable. It says, even the Forge World models, even though I don't see why they wouldn't be. And they go, wait, did you guys blow up the universe? No, it's still Warhammer 40k. Emperor's still in charge. They say that there's some pretty epic stuff ahead.
That basically tells me, oh, there's epic stuff ahead, and I hear, oh, you're going to have to get rid of your old figurines because we're going to make so much new ones, and we're going to make old ones obsolete.
Well, no, I'm taking a different meaning to that. I think they're bringing back epic.
Maybe.
Because the epic rule set hasn't received any love since Tyranids came out. Which was a while ago. And so the thing is they're well aware that Dystopian Wars is chugging full steam ahead, and they're coming out with new models, and now Spartan Game has the Halo license, so they're trying their hardest to not fuck up having the Halo license.
I see.
That reminds me, I have to show Jerry that. So I think they're bringing back Epic because Dystopian Wars is essentially Epic scale. Only instead of a bunch of bases of infantry, the focus is entirely on having a bunch of tanks. Where Epic, Warhammer 40k, you had a lot of tanks, but they would usually poop out a ton of infantry stands.
Yeah, the APCs, are Armored Personnel Carriers.
Yeah, it was all focused around having a bunch of APCs and Land Raiders and stuff. And aircraft, holy shit, the aircraft were fun. They could just zoom around and wreck shit all over the table.
Pretty much.
They say they haven't dumbed down 40k, getting back to what we're actually doing. And so here's what we were talking about. What happens to my codexes? We ask. The rules in our current range of Warhammer 40k codexes are not compatible with the new edition. These books are going off sale. If you do want to pick any, now's the time, as all the great hobby content and background information will still be valid. What's in the new starter box? Fuck you. How dare you make us tell you? We will not tell you. For that is why we are a company, because we can keep secrets and we won't tell you. Are you getting rid of points? Now, that sounds like a stupid question. However, that's what they did in Age of Sigmar.
So that doesn't sound like a stupid question,
So-
especially looking up your modus operandi, no, does it?
It only sounds like a stupid question if you don't know Games Workshop. And they assure us, no, they will not. However, because now here's the funny thing: I've been reading through my old codex, or not my old codex, my old 1998 Warhammer 40k rulebook. And they go on at length about, the importance is having a regimented point system so that players couldn't just put down any model they wanted. Otherwise, the player with the biggest collection would win. And nowadays, they're like, who gives a shit? Just use all your models. Just spend so much money on them. Just use all of your models. Don't give a shit about the other player. If you have more, you'll win.
We want to be paid to win because we want you to pay us as much as possible.
Yeah, just keep buying Imperial
If you're not
Knights
winning, that means you didn't pay us enough money.
and you'll just make a game of it, and the other person keeps buying Imperial Knights. You buy Imperial Knights, and then soon your whole house will be built of Imperial Knights, and we'll be rich. That's the kind of house I'd want to live in, Storm. The fucking armor protection on those things is one up. So, we're making fun of them this way because they say there are 3 ways to play. Open play, which is flexible, easy, and you can use any miniatures you like. Hey. 2, narrative
All of
play.
the miniatures.
Narrative play, which is where you refight iconic battles. So that's just kind of the standard scenario play that's always existed. It's just now it's called something and there's a rule for doing it. So that's understandable. I get that. Because there are people that love to play out the canon battles. So, and 3, there's the matched play, aka normal mode, where it's ideal for competitive and balanced play, ideal for gaming clubs, leagues, and tournaments, or, anyone who wants to play the game right.
Duh.
So, and of course, below it they say, why should I just not stick with Warhammer 40k as it is today? Morty, this is the version of Warhammer 40k you've been asking for. And now, the actual really cool thing that they point out in this FAQ, that they are going to be releasing their rules for free, the core rules.
Oh.
And again, I bring up Spartan Games because they did this a year or 2 ago. I think about 2 years ago. The core rules of all of their war games are available on their website, free, Spartan Games. However, and so are their army lists. But you have to get them. But you're probably going to have to get the miniatures from them because it's really hard to get you just cannot proxy those models. They're too unique. And other companies do this. Eclipse Phase for the longest time has had a free version of their RPG. But my point is that Games Workshop has realized they actually have to get with the times. So the core rules are going to be available as opposed to being freely available on every 4chan forum.
So instead of being free on torrent networks, it's going to be free in real life.
Yeah, instead of being free with quotation marks, it's actually free this time.
But my question is, if it's free, how they're making money?
Codexes.
I see. So codex, they're
Yeah,
going to still
because you still have
money
to
on
buy the current codex. They're not being that kind, because the codexes are the core of how to play your army and their lore and how to play that army. And it makes sense for Dystopian Wars to have their Orbats available, because they have a full land, air, and sea list of miniatures, and you need to be able to know all of their statistics,
I see.
because there aren't a lot of miniatures to choose from. However, in Warhammer 40k, there are like 99 to the nth power factions, and you can imagine that about 5 or 6 new factions are going to be available, because it used to be, oh yeah, the humans is split between the Imperial Guard, the Space Marines, Sister Sororitas. Now it's those three: the Mechanicum, the Arbites. I'm pretty sure the Custodes the Custodes are have their own lists already. I'm pretty sure the Arbites are getting their own list, and so on and so forth. And there's like 5 to 6 different factions of Imperial Guard. There's 5 to 6 different types of Space Marine. It goes on.
So
and
wait,
on
wait,
and
wait.
on.
They getting the Custodes out of the Imperial Palace?
Huh?
Interesting.
What about Custodes?
Well, Custodes are basically Space Marines that are guarding the Emperor, right?
Yeah, they're the High Guard.
Yeah, and they kind of made a promise or some sort of vow that they will never leave the premises of the, basically of Terra.
Well,
So,
I'm almost entirely sure that they have a rule where they're always the defender. I don't know. But yeah, the Custodes have miniatures in the list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You may continue.
And that's basically everything about Warhammer, because I cannot get the fact to actually be visible to you all, so that's fine. When it comes to Shadowrun, we have answers that nobody wanted. No, not a soul. No one.
It's time from a new game, right?
Yeah, I couldn't find anything Dungeons and Dragons related worth talking about this week. I mean, there was that one guy who didn't understand how rogues worked, but
Well, obviously he wasn't. He didn't want to play that kind of rogue.
yeah, he wasn't that kind of rogue. Which
No
is
one
funny
could.
because I talked shit about Spoonie this week on Reddit.
So, what do we have for the first question?
Hideouts. Retro Gamer 1224 says, so my group has found a new place to settle into now that they are located in Seattle. Sadly, though, it wasn't my idea of being near Glow City or Nowhere Hell's Kitchen. Instead, it's in Auburn and was once a multi-story laundromat. So my question to y'all is, between adventures, how can I aid in making the street more lively that they live on? Thanks for the advice.
If you want to make their street more lively, I believe drive-bys are a thing that could make a street more or less lively, depending on how it goes. You can try terrorist attacks. You can try police raids, and you can always try to use some sort of pressure on the players that they are always being observed and someone's trying to catch them, and they always have someone breathing down their necks.
That sounds a little not the question. So I'm sorry, my chair squeaks like a Spanish war galleon.
Classy.
So, the thing is that a lot of players just kind of pick their lifestyle and stop thinking especially when they're new, because they're not quite aware what the question is. Because they think the question is, do you want to act like a rich person or not?
Mm-hmm.
When the question is really, do you live in a shitty neighborhood? Do you live not in a shitty neighborhood? Do you live under the corporation's
What is the
roof?
quality of your shitty neighborhood?
What is the quality of your life situation?
Mm-hmm.
And so, to contrast, in our Shadowrun game that we've been playing, we have two people that have been comfortably living at high lifestyle because one is kind of a rich, spoiled kid, so he refuses to live under high. I don't think he has creature of comfort, but he behaves like it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jahith's character, Eagle Eye, is connected with the Vori, and so he is just naturally used to being in a good living situation. Because
I believe that I am like one peg lower beneath the Quicksilver. That means that I live a little bit of a cheaper lifestyle.
Yeah.
While still being able to afford basic. It's basically something that a middle class person would be like accustomed to.
Lower and high class.
Yeah, and that also makes me, and because I'm so paranoid in our game, I constantly change
He's
my
on his
whereabouts.
6th or 7th house now.
Yes, that's because I know what a house means. What staying in one place for a long period of time means in Shadowrun.
Yes.
You have to realize that you, as a Shadowrunner, are constantly on the run. There are people who are trying to kill you. Every job that you take, you're making enemies, and those enemies are trying to kill you. You're also making friends, but those friends are not going to help you if someone's going to sneak to your house and slit your throat in your sleep.
For instance, the very first few sessions that I ran felt rather loose and free, pink mohawk going, gun blazing, and they acted as such. However, they quickly realized after a few sessions that what they thought was a relatively simple mission ended up having lasting consequences. And so they began getting more and more careful.
Now we're leveled up and gain a skill called planning. Necro? So we're using it.
Because it's true. Every time you kill an enemy character on a run, you are pissing off someone. You might be pissing off the corporation that set that guy up. You might be pissing off the friends of that person. You might even be pissing off a loose like organization that just happen to have a contract with them, or even worse, a response team could come in and try to stabilize them.
Mm-hmm. And the problem with the missions is that during the beginning of the sessions, we didn't really took good care of our faces, because now we are getting we are struggling with the idea that we're getting recognized by the police. They have our mugshots. They are actively hunting us, and it's very difficult for us to move around in the city freely because every checkpoint, every cop, every basically every encounter with any form of police enforcement may lead us to a shootout, may lead us to some form of engagement that we're not planning upon. We might be at that point really beat up after a mission, and that might spell a play TPK for us. So
Absolutely. Because the thing about being a Shadowrunner is most times you can take on one or two people by yourself. And there are about 3 or 4 of you. So you can handle a group of like size, maybe a little bigger.
mhm.
And the police have access to a lot of drones and other mechanisms that limit your effectiveness. And if you fight them on their ground, they are going to use even more of that than usual.
There are also corporations who can basically use their drones to keep an eye on you, to follow you. They might look like normal drones. They constantly stick some kind of tags on our vehicles, which I tend to find.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is the heat doesn't go away because it's not like a local bureaucrat just has a long memory and is continually sending people after you. You are getting a record built up in the corporation, and they have to do a X measures every month. And from a bureaucratic standpoint, they have to allocate so and so against these kinds of threats. So after a while, once the bodies pile up, they're going to look at this particular entry and go, yeah, they're getting bumped up the list. They're getting bumped up the list. They're getting bumped up the list to the point where it's even tougher to get around. So they are actively trying to gather information to build up records. And when they build up enough records, then suddenly they have specialized measures against specifically you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you can't win.
And that's the reason why face protection is important. However, that is not enough, because the corporation, if one of your other players isn't taking care of their face, and you are still, of course, running with them, right? So they might say, oh, we don't know what this guy's face is, but we know what he's doing. We have his modus operandi, and even though we don't know how his face, we can still counteract that.
And and it's fairly easy to hide your face. Alternatively, you can just have the bland quality, and that makes it so if for instance you're a human, then you're going to your face is on about 10,000 other faces in the city. So it gets far more difficult for them to find you.
There are also masks that can help, that can change your face.
Correct.
But you also have to think about changing also the style of play from time to time, and changing the types of clothing that you wear.
Well, it's also there's more to it than that. Recently, the Matrix component has come more and more into play. I mean, it's always been happening in the background because I've been quite interested in it, but now it's at the forefront of the party's attention. What's going on?
Yes, we have a Netrunner.
Because now you actually, you have a Decker now.
Oh right, they call the Deckers. Sorry.
Yeah, they're called Deckers in this game. Yeah, Netrunner.
So yeah,
2020.
circling this back to the place you live.
Well, the way this gets circled back to the place you live is once enough of this data piles up, then door kickers start showing up.
Yeah.
And the thing about door kickers is they might be corporate door kickers, they might be Shadowrunner door kickers, or they might be ultra super black ops.
Well, we need to piss someone off real bad to get that happening.
Yeah, you have to do something really bad to piss off black ops, like say blow up a cruise ship full of As Technology CEOs or officials.
Yeah, I can't. I'm constantly kicking myself to that because I could have blocked the door, but I didn't, and some of them floated to the surface. That was so unprofessional.
So what everyone's saying in these responses is they're basically spitballing random encounters. Random encounters should be happening around the house, and I like to kind of throw in wacky neighbors. I like to have mail and packages show up. I like to have visitors come in because you want players to think about the fact that they have a house that they go back to. They don't spend every moment with their party like you would in 5th edition. Because in 5th edition, you're bonded to the hip with everyone. You have to keep moving. Where in Shadowrun, you're in a Shadowrun group usually out of convenience. Is these people help you make money?
Yes. And you don't have to stay with them. You can go on runs with other teams, provided that it fits with the timeline of the game.
And that's the great thing is a lot of people go, wait, if I remove my character, does he like die? Like, no, he's a Shadowrunner. He just went off to go make money somewhere else. He's still around.
And sometimes he might return.
Sometimes he might show up again. Yeah, it's
as a slave to a corporation with a lot of new cybernetic implants.
Yeah, like that's part of the cool thing about Shadowrun is it's a setting more than a game. So you can naturally add characters to the setting and they can keep showing up. That's essentially how the contact system works, is you create this supporting list of characters that you can keep going to.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, what's a very bad idea to do as a Shadowrunner? Make a house party.
Yeah, what? So... someone mentions this. It's yeah. J-Rex says block party. Even when the point is to have fun, someone's hitting somebody up for money. Hell of a party, bro. That one time the team throws a party and someone's gonna complain. Might be the old... Okay, what the flying fuck? You're a Shadowrunner. You're a mercenary. Why do you think bars exist?
Or strip clubs.
Or strip clubs or any other venue.
You want to have a party, you go to a strip club.
To go get drunk and party.
You do not invite people to your house unless you want to wake up one day with a slit throat.
This is Shadowrun. The nightlife is eternal. There's no curfew.
And there's a lot of people, as we said before, that are trying to kill you. If you start invite people to your party, someone somewhere is going to find out, and they're going to assassinate you, basically.
Yeah, it's all.
You're basically make it easier for assassins to kill you.
It's all fun and games until the hot chick that you're talking up pulls a plasteel knife and starts trying to gut you.
Yeah. If you want to have a party, you have to have enough money to have a mansion, to have a background checks on all of your people who you invited, and you have a security detail. Then you can have house parties.
Yeah. That's why corporate people have parties, because they can afford security and shit. Even
And
if
they
they get
sometimes have
shot in the
techno
head
critters.
by a sniper. I mean, yeah, like J-Rex, Shadowrunners don't do that. Alright, moving on to the next answer nobody wanted. What should Street Sams do besides hit stuff? Well, shoot stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
But real, I mean, so Frog Explosion says, I mean, realistically, the thing they're paid for is their combat specialization. But as a character, if your only function is combat, a system where combat's only supposed to happen if you fuck up, seems like you'd stand around doing nothing a lot if you only focus on combat. Obviously, Shadowrun, there's an obscene number of ways to build your character, but I guess I'm asking for an experienced view. From looking at the normal roles, infiltration seems great, but realistically a face would probably do it better since they can hide, break into stuff, and talk their way out of it. Face Sam might be doable, but priority would be a nightmare. Decker Street Sam, no. But as a support, I could see it. Forget about Techno, because it doesn't work. Adepts are essentially Street Sams without cybernetics.
Basically, when it comes to Street Sams, there's nothing wrong in being the old gruff military kind of guy who leads the party on missions and provides them with expertise of his with his combat expertise. There's nothing wrong with that. He can play. There's a lot you can do with that. However, you don't really want to fuck around too much with the tried and true Street Sam, because you're also only make yourself a little bit less viable in combat, which is what you do. This is your primary focus. You want to be able to take a lot of damage and dish out it.
Right. Well, but here's the thing: is he has a point. Combat's only supposed to happen if you fuck up. So. Yes. Now, that's not entirely true. There are situations where you can be the aggressor and get away pretty much scot-free, but you have to you have to know what you're doing. You can't just casually go, I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
Because cops start coming and reinforcements come and hackers start popping in and all sorts of really bad shit happens. So here's the thing. Skills are meant to supplement role-playing. For instance, Darwin R. Street Samurai is a textbook /Sam. He's got a big old sword, he's got thick armor, and he is a melee champion. He can dish out very large amounts of death.
Da.
However, he doesn't just stand around all session. He used to be quieter, but then he got hooked on kamikaze, and that made him more talkative.
Yes.
Whether or not that's a good thing is kind of personal opinion. If you're Darwin, it's fantastic.
Yes, actually, you're actually making a good point because ever since that kamikaze thing, he actually became much more involved. It gave the
It gave him
character
agency. He cared.
something to strive against, I guess. Something that is more than just combat.
Yeah, and I offered him a extremely dangerous quick fix, and it's instead of going, whatever, I'll take it. He went, no, that sounds no. I'm gonna just take the penalties. So he tries to talk to people. He goes, "Oh wait, I'm a good driver. I'm gonna drive," and not so much anymore because once again penalties.
Hmm. Well, he's still a good driver.
He's still a good driver. It's just he's not gonna beat a rigger.
Yeah,
Before he
we still we have
keep up.
Sandcastle.
Yeah, yeah. You can work more with Sandcastle. One of these days when we get Jerry in, we'll have him.
Nice.
Yes.
So yeah, give your Street Sam a flaw that makes him more of a human being.
Flaws, absolutely. You need to take 25 points as flaws as a Street Sam, not because you need the karma, but just to give you something to do. You need to be able to interact with the game world at every point when you're bored. Otherwise, you're going to just sit there wishing something. You're going to want to look at your phone. You're going to want to look at something else. You want to be looking at your sheet.
Also, make your characters afraid of their cell phones. That can also help.
I mean, that's Eagle Eye's approach. Whenever I talk to him about the Matrix, he gets extremely afraid. I mean, I think every time he's had to resist against any type of Matrix action, he immediately after combat he says, "I will pull out my comlink, throw it on the ground, and then stamp on it."
Uh, Actually, it was more like, "Oh, I see I'm being hacked. Fuck! I'm pulling out the comlink, throwing it on the ground as it's happening, and then stomping on it." And I believe it happened only once with my work comlink.
No, I think you broke another one.
Maybe.
Because you've been Matrix attacked in more than one combat.
I see. I have to think about this.
I must consider this.
Yeah, probably my new comlink is also going to be thrown away, just to be safe.
Do you run with the generic icon, or do you personalize your icon?
I have generic ones.
Okay.
I don't personalize for fear of being recognized in the Matrix.
Smart.
You see how paranoid I am, right? At least Eagle Eye.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of an obvious question. Thinking about it, I should have kind of been able to assume that pretty safely. But yeah, aside from just roleplay more and have flaws, another thing that helps is buy a vehicle, buy an interesting lifestyle. Like Darvin chooses a low lifestyle, and at first this might be because you as a player went, low lifestyle. I don't need to pay more than I have to. And then you realize what low lifestyle actually means. It means that you'll have to pay whenever you go to any function or service that's above your lifestyle. So, for instance, if during a shadow run you need to pay for your ticket going into an opera, if you don't have high lifestyle, then you're going to have to pony up the credits. And it's easier to find a low lifestyle. Well, actually, I guess it's not easier to find it, but it's definitely in a rougher neighborhood usually. Like, there's a fairly good chance that you're going to encounter gang violence, or there's going to be all sorts of explosions in the night.
Yeah, police might raid your entire block.
Yeah, police might raid your block. It's nothing you did. It's just you live in a shitty block, and someone probably blew up their drug still on accident.
Yeah, not only that, they might actually profile you at that point, and that would mean, oh no, they have you.
Yeah, because if you're wearing a fine suit and you're strolling down the block to get to your house, then if a cop sees you, then they're going to notice that, and it's going to be in their report. Because the thing about there is nowadays they have an agent software that disseminates most of what cops see, so they can record that it's recorded fairly easily. So if they see you in that neighborhood with the wrong dress code, then they're going to notice. As will any gang member that notices you.
So, in other words, bottom line is, 1, do not make house parties, and 2, give your character some flaws that makes them more human.
Yeah, and this guy, so I have to look up what this guy's name is, because he wrote a very big post about this that is fairly nice, and that was stupid. I should have known better. Desmount has this long post about this, and a lot of it's really good, because he's mentioning that, well, you could play a Street Samurai as an infiltrator, and you don't necessarily have to have every weapon skill. You just have to specialize one weapon that you know that you can do a lot of damage with, because combat's more of a when you want it to happen type deal, more than it always happens. So you can use most of your skill points on stealth stuff.
Yeah.
And he also says, combat is not, you fucked up. He says many runs will require combat, and many runs will have the optimal solution be combat. And that's true. There's always the option of killing everyone and taking the briefcase. That's true.
Just like with landing, every combat that you come out alive in, it's a successful combat. Right?
Yeah.
Did I say that well? Yeah.
Yeah, because the temptation is to strictly avoid combat, because you want to avoid the police and attention. However,
That, and I also blame a lot of computer games for that give you the that craft levels in such a way that you have all kinds of different engagement options, and one of them is also always combat, and they always reward non-lethal stealth the most.
yeah. Yeah, where they make it where, yeah, you can just play the game combat, kill everyone, and finish the game. But if to really enjoy the game, you have to play stealth.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear Solid's kind of always been like that. But to be fair, it is kind of a stealth game.
But there's also Deus Ex that did that.
Yes, Deus Ex gradually has become more focusing on stealth.
Yeah, Deus Ex originally was gave you so many options in terms of engagement.
You have a lot of options. The original Liberty Island level has so many options in it, because you can go left, right, you can go up the back, you can go up the front, you can hack the turret, you can do this, that, rescue Herman, do. There's a lot to do.
And the best part is, no matter how you build your character, at the end of the game, the end boss, you will always be able to beat it, no matter which kind of path you specialized in.
Yeah, they built the boss so that it doesn't matter what specialization you went with, which is fantastic. That's what pissed me
and
about
in the new Deus Ex, which pisses me off the most, when I went all stealth, I couldn't beat the boss battles because they all required high abilities in weapon skills.
Correct.
Which completely conflicted with the way I played the game. Bullshit, I call.
Yeah, it's funny. They always go on and off about oh, you can play the game without killing anyone. Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. Bunch of people designed all these combat animations for no fucking reason.
You might as well use them.
Yeah. No fucking reason at all.
So yeah, that's that. We hate the new Deus Ex.
Yep.
Ever since Invisible War.
So the other thing is, as a street samurai, you will be built with a lot of cyberware, and if you're running wirelessly, then you will be visible on the Matrix. Consequently, you can also have you can also have internal jammers and scanners so that you can contribute to Matrix spotting.
I wanted to ask you a question about street samurais who are decked up with cyberware. Imagine this. Is there any way to lose humanity, to lose empathy, or however it's called? Basically, in combat, you are hit with some kind of spell that takes away a little bit of your humanity, and
I don't know.
But yeah, because that would fuck up, I think, Darwin the most.
Oh yeah.
Because he has so little humanity left in him that anything that would attack humanity would basically make him lose control. Anyway, back to the question. Sorry about that. Dead Space is dead.
Well, it's because grenades. Use fucking grenades. Get the throwing skill. Use grenades are useful.
Da.
They are, but I think that's everything for this episode. We're gonna have we're gonna have more for you next time.
Yay! See us next time on the Dog Show.
Depths of Gaming. Dog.